A reading from Paul's letter to the Romans, chapter 8, beginning at verse 12. Paul writes, "So then, brothers, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. For all who are led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. For you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the Spirit of adoption as sons, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with him, in order that we may also be glorified with him. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the long glory that is to be revealed in us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption, and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the firstfruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly, as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we are saved. Now, hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience." When you hear the word hope, perhaps you think of that kind of anticipation that you had when you went to bed on Christmas Eve as a child. You're hoping that you might get a particular toy. You kind of know you're not going to. You sort of know that it's out of the question, really. But you're hoping nonetheless that you might get it, that you might come down and find that particular box under the Christmas tree. Or maybe when you're waiting for exam results, you know you didn't revise hard enough. You know you didn't put in the hard work during the term time, but you hope that somehow you fluked it, that somehow you've managed to pass it. You probably haven't, but you hope you have. And so for us, hope has some sort of wishy-washiness to it. Hope is some sort of hope against or over against expectation. But that's not the case in Greek, the language in which Paul wrote the New Testament letters that he wrote. So here's what the standard Greek dictionary of the New Testament has to say about the word which we translate hope. It says this, I'll read it to you. "The looking forward to something with some reason for confidence respecting fulfillment, hope, expectation." Another dictionary, even thicker, puts it like this, simply expectation, anticipation. You see, there's a confidence that is there. That's why the good old Book of Common Prayer, when it's translating the word, talks about a sure and certain hope. It's there in the funeral service if you want to find the phrase. So hope is not something which is vague. But when Paul is talking about hope, he's talking about something sure and certain, confident. That's what he means. And Paul's very keen to help us have that confidence in our Christian faith. The chapter before, you might remember, Paul is talking about how sometimes he finds himself doing the thing that he doesn't want to do, and he doesn't do the thing that he wants to do. And you might at that time come to wonder whether you're a Christian at all. But no, Paul says, we have a sure and certain hope of our salvation, regardless of how we might feel at any particular time. In fact, the very reason you're concerned that you might not be living out your Christian faith shows that you desire to live it out and to serve God. And that's a marker of Christian faith in itself. Paul gives the analogy of adoption in this passage. Adoption is a legal fact. You may at times not feel that your adoptive parents are yours at all. And of course, in one sense, they're not. But legally, They are. It's not to do with feelings or emotions, but to do with fact. The Spirit of Christ within us gives us that adoption. So when you do find yourself struggling in your faith, when you find yourself really wanting to live out your Christianity and follow Christ and you keep stumbling, don't worry. Have hope. It doesn't really matter about us. It doesn't really matter about the things that we do. We can't earn our way into God's favour. But as we trust in Christ and His work, as we seek to follow His commands, to become more and more like Him, we can have that hope, that sure and certain hope of our salvation. As Paul puts it at the end of the passage, in this hope we are saved.